Hello, everybody hear me? Great, excellent. Well, welcome. Thank you all for coming. So this is an informative meeting about our spring events for this year. A lot of things that we haven't done here either in a while or sometime at all. So I wanted to make sure everyone had the information that they needed. We're going to be structuring this meeting in sort of a reverse pyramid, so as stuff that applies to everybody is going to happen first, and then stuff that applies to some folks, and then just the smallest group, so that you can leave after your portion is complete. So it's going to be mostly chronological, but it's going to follow that. All right. So if you have an event list, we had some up here, and we ran out, so I brought some more. Then we'll be starting chronologically, but again with the things that are bold first, things that apply to every student. You're welcome to come up and get a event list if you don't have one. All right, so the very first thing you'll see on there that's bold is our Saturday, March 5th Solo and Ensemble Festival. And a lot of things have changed this year because in the middle of the year because of different COVID things and all that stuff. So this was originally said to be at Dobbins-Bennett, which would have been so much more convenient, obviously, but they can't host for a number of scheduling conflicts. So it's at Chucky Doak High School. And that's every student is participating in solo and ensemble. And solo and ensemble, as the name would suggest, is either students will play either a solo or a small ensemble. So an ensemble is any group of students. And we like to encourage students to do ensembles because a solo is, if you've done junior clinic, they already did a solo. Solo, it can be easier because there's only one person to coordinate, that's yourself. But you're trying to learn, part of band is to play in a group with other people. And so we have given them quite a few. Oh, we ran out again. I'm so sorry. I thought I made enough copies. But that's great. So, well, I can have a bunch of those ready for your kids. And we will send out PDFs of everything that was up here later so that everyone can get a copy of that. The event list, the itinerary, all that stuff. So don't worry if you didn't get it. We're gonna make sure that you get it. And of course we have plenty of copies available in the band room. Anyway, so solo ensemble. We encourage kids to play in small ensembles. We've given them a bunch of small ensemble stuff. It's two parts or three parts. It's duet or a trio. Try to pair them up with their friends so that they can perform together. And it's forcing them to work with somebody else and perform non-verbally and make their own musical decisions. So it's a really great educational opportunity, which is why ETSBA hosts these things every year. And it is really geared toward middle school more than high school, so because of how easy it is to get in. It's an easy entry point. There will be a judge. There will be at a school, and they will function a lot like junior clinic, but the judging will be in a rating system, not as a contest like junior clinic was. So they'll get a rating of superior, excellent, good, fair, poor, which is kind of roughly equivalent to ABC scale. And but the judges know that kids are learning, and especially if you're a 6th grader or 7th grader just learning to play, it's a really positive event. It's supposed to be very positive. But students should sign up today if they haven't yet. I'm going to check it again tomorrow, so if they can still get away with it after the meeting. To try on the Google form that was sent out, emailed that to all the students' student accounts. So it's a Google form they can fill out, just saying what they plan on playing and who they plan on playing it with. We can still change that stuff, but we need to pay for them, and we pay for all that stuff from the school because it's a required event and it's an educational opportunity. Comes with that band fee that we took care of in the fall. We're going to do all that. We have to do that by Friday, so that's why we ask for it this far in advance. And again, they can change if something happens, but we want them to be prepared. So they need to commit, and they say, I'm going to play this piece, or at least try, and then work on it for the next month until March 5th. If a student wants to do more than one event, that's totally cool. I would not recommend any more than 3. I think that would be crazy. Three is over the top, and so you want to go by a little quicker than that. But 2 events is fairly common for folks that are taking private lessons. They might do an ensemble with their friends. Of course, that's what they want to do. And then they might have a solo that their private teacher gave to them to play, which is a great thing, especially if you're taking private lessons, to work on something intimately with a private teacher. We do ask that you pay $6, which is what it costs us. It's exactly what it costs us at ETSVOA to host that, and that's to pay for the judge's time and all this other stuff that goes along with that for solo and ensemble. So only the second event. If you're just doing the one that's required, you're all covered. If you're doing a second event, we ask that you chip in $6 for that. You can throw that in the mailbox and just make sure to obviously put your name on it, put it in an envelope, whatever that takes, so that we know who it's associated with, and try to write solo and ensemble on it too if you can, so that we know what you're doing it for. So that's solo and ensemble. That's on March 5th. The next thing that is for everyone is our spring band concert, and that's going to be May 3rd. And I just hate changing dates. I just love so much the feeling that it gives me to give you all the dates for the whole year in August, and then for me to have to change stuff it just hurts me, because I try to be really organized and look really far ahead. But we had to change this date because of the 8th grade trip to DC. We couldn't miss half our 8th graders doing that. And when I originally planned this, there was no trip to DC because they were not taking any trips. And so then it changed, obviously, and they're going to be gone the entire week of when we would have been doing the concert. So it's on Tuesday, May 3rd. And you're all pros at this, even if your first concert was as the winter concert, because it's going to be just like that winter concert. It's going to be right here, just the same thing, 7 o'clock with new music. Kids obviously playing much, much better after another semester of instruction. So that's Tuesday, May 3rd. And then finally, the one thing, other than the fundraiser, we'll talk about that at the end, but the spring trip, that's the one that, of course, we've all been waiting for. This is the fun part. Is the Dollywood Music in the Parks. So if you have that itinerary, you can start referring to that, and that'll apply to everyone. Now, if you got one earlier, it had sort of tentative times on it. Last time I took a band to Dollywood, we went to Pigeon Forge High School, and so that's what I was going off of. But just today, I got to sign up for our actual times, and turns out we're at Lakeway Christian Academy. I forgot to change where it says arrive at Pigeon Forge High School, but I did change the address. And that's the address in White Pine, Tennessee for Lakeway Christian Academy. That's where we'll actually be having the performance. And that changes things quite a bit because there's, instead of being across the street from Dollywood, that's obviously almost an hour away. So it changed the times a little bit. I moved those around. We still leave at 7 because it still takes just as long to get there. But our performance will be earlier than we originally planned, so that we can then leave earlier so that we can still get into the park with plenty of time to spend time with everybody else. So that's different than an earlier itinerary if you didn't get one today. All right, so just going over this itinerary. I know this is a new concept for everybody to go on one of these trips. This is a day trip. We're going to be gone there and back just on Saturday, May 7th. And where band room opens at 5 a.m. is the first time on there. And every single class of kids that we had, I handed this out before I started talking, they all said, I have to be here at 5? No, you do not have to be here at 5. That's when I have to be here. Okay? But I want to make sure that you know the earliest time. I usually try to put a band room opens as the first time on all my itineraries, so that you know if you need to reach me or something like that, I'm going to be there. So I'm going to be here at 5. Check-in is at 6, and that is our, that can be kind of early. Some folks only wake up at 6 to go to school. But we obviously want to get you as much time as you can in the park and doing the fun part. So we want to make sure that we leave with plenty of time. So 6 o'clock is check-in, and we're checking in here in the auditorium. So we're going to have all the kids and all their chaperones and everything in here. And that means that we're going to check to make sure that they have everything they need. Because, even if you thought you're going to check before you leave the house, which you should, then they're going to show up and I'm like, I thought you had that. But we want to check to make sure before they leave, just one more extra check. At this time, if they have everything they need, so they have everything they need to perform, they got their concert attire, they got their instrument, they got their music, they're ready to go, then they can get their special trip shirt that they're going to have. So there's another t-shirt that's included in this cost that's going to have so special for this trip. It's going to have the year on it and where we're going. As a memento, it's also a way to keep track of kids in the park. All right, so everyone, including the chaperones, will have the same shirt. At that point, they're going to meet with the rest of their group, and they're going to be able to choose their group within reason. Obviously, we'll watch out for anything weird before that day. So we'll have an actual itinerary that'll come out. That'll have all the groups, and the kids will find their groups, and based on those groups, we'll put them on the buses. Those groups will have a maximum of 4 kids on there with 1 chaperone. That's the ratio I like to keep. And I base that off of when eventually, if we ever do go on an overnight trip, is something that I would like to look forward to in years in the future, that you would have 4 students in one room, and that's 1 chaperone per room, and so that's the golden number. There isn't really any other reason for that. It also divides evenly this year, so if we have all of the students go divided by 4, that number of chaperones, and that fits on the buses. So it worked out. So we're good on that. And those students will have pre-selected those groups. Chaperones will come in, and we do hope that you all consider chaperoning. It's really helpful for us. Obviously, we want to keep the kids safe. You want to keep your kids safe. If you're sort of depending on other parents to help with that too, if you're not able to go. And so we really appreciate if you are able to help us out with that. And so at this point, I always really recommend that people exchange phone numbers. When I used to go on trips, when I was in 7th grade or in 8th grade and that sort of thing, you had to have a meeting place, right? And you would say, oh, everyone's going to meet by this landmark. And you're like, if I'm lost in the park, how am I supposed to find the landmark? As sort of that sort of thing, and what time. Now, that problem is solved. We have cell phones. So please exchange numbers, and if your child doesn't have a cell phone yet, which totally makes sense. My kids are still young, and I'm not sure when they're, I may not be middle school, but there's always those prepaid cell phones that just call folks, and so that's a really great way to help them keep in touch. So it's such a valuable tool when you're going on a trip like this that I would consider doing that prepaid cell phone situation. So you can exchange numbers there, and we load the buses, leave, we'll arrive again at Lakeway Christian Academy in White Pine, Tennessee. We'll go in the building, and we have a warm-up time and a performance time, and then there's one group in between us so that I can do both groups and I can move to the next one. And so the other group will be in the auditorium there watching the first group, kind of like what we did with our concert. And we'll practice all that. We'll drill it with the kids so they know how to walk in, how to behave, and that sort of thing. And you'll just stick with your kids that are in your group. They should be more or less in the same band, although that they could mix up, and then in which case you'd probably be with the group that's not with me. After our performance, we'll load the buses and go to Dollywood, and the tickets, we'll talk about that when we get to the cost portion. But once you get to the unticketed portion, everybody whether gets a ticket or doesn't, actually, we get a meal voucher. And so the meal voucher is a great way for us to make sure that they eat. Because in trips past where I have sent kids and just said, please bring your own money for lunch, they end up not having money for lunch somehow. They end up spending it on something else or literally just losing it. So a meal voucher is really helpful because it's like a coupon for a meal. That's the only thing they can spend it on. And we actually have ask that chaperones hold on to it until the kids have time to eat, because again, they might lose it, or they'll take it on the river rampage and it'll get destroyed before they need to use it. So chaperones hold on to that, and that way we make sure that they eat. So that's a meal that's included in this price. It gets you the most basic thing, and from when I've done this before, so that it's just enough to get you a turkey leg, a side, and a drink, basically. If you want to go to get a buffet at Aunt Granny's, you're going to have to pay for that. So if they want cinnamon bread, they should bring their own money, that sort of thing. But that's up to parents. It's up to the way they want to do that. And so that's one meal that we have in there. The awards ceremony, last time I went to Dollywood, was at 7 o'clock. That has not been posted yet, so we'll see. If it's really early, I would consider, since it's not a far cry from here, it's only 2 hours away or so, we're gonna, we might come back into the park. But hopefully it's at 7, because it's a really great way to just end what we're doing. So everyone has to be at their award ceremony anyway, and then we can just all say, we're all in a group, let's all walk out and go back to the buses together. So they get a long time in the park, maybe 7 or 8 hours if we actually get there at 11, to go out and do their thing and play in the park. One thing, of course, again, this is new concept for everybody, so I want to explain. They are going to stay with their group. They are going to stay with the group and the chaperone. Like you said, we had a 1-to-4 ratio here with the chaperones to students. So they are going to stay with the group. If somebody doesn't want to ride a roller coaster, that's fine. Pretty much everything at Dollywood, you can walk up with them and just walk away from, not actually ride. You can do that. If the case happens where that's not possible, then the chaperone and the student can wait outside the ride. And that's fine too, right at the exit. But they should not be out just doing whatever they want in the park. If you're worried that might happen, that's absolutely should not happen. And we're going to make sure to make that clear to everyone at the chaperone meeting. It's a responsibility that you have to the kids that you're taking that aren't your own. So we'll make sure that that's clear, and students will stay with their chaperone and with their group the entire time. After the award ceremony, we'll load the buses, and we'll have another meal for them. We're going to have a boxed lunch type meal. So again, something just to tide them over, because it's kind of late, and they're going to get back if we leave at 8, around 10 o'clock. What are we looking at getting? We're still looking at Chick-fil-A. Is that it? Okay, so yeah, we got a lot of kids were like, yay, and then some kids were like, Chick-fil-A. Like, I don't know, that's weird. I love Chick-fil-A. So I think it might be better than just a ham sandwich, right? So that could be good. There are vegetarian options for all that stuff too, if that's a concern. So we will be able to ask, if you need something like that. All right. One consistent question that we get, especially with a trip that's so close, if I want to travel separately, what do I do? Well, we'd love to have more of an audience there, so anybody that wants to come to this performance is more than welcome to come, and I can't stop you from going to Dollywood, so go for it. But if you're not on the trip, you're not on the trip. So if you want to take your child by yourself and not let them go with their friends and all that, and that's fine. You may not feel comfortable letting them go on the trip. That's fine. They can still perform with us. They can still go to the park and maybe even hang out with you and that group. That's all fine. But that would be saying, I'm not traveling. Let me know if I'm not traveling, but I do plan on being at the performance. And then that's it. So we're not, it's not like you're half on the trip and half off. You're just not on the trip. And then you can still participate in some of the activities that we're participating in, like the performance at the school and all that. But if you want to check a child out, that's something that I've usually had. That's been okay. We will have a specific form that you'll be able to sign your kid out. If that happens, they're off the trip, right? So you're saying you're picking your kid up, let's say at the award ceremony or after the performance, so you want them to ride the bus down with us and perform, and then you want to take them to Dollywood yourself, that's fine. You can do that, but at that point they're off. So they can't join us on the bus coming back. You understand? You can't. There's no place to enter back in. So that's just, it's too much confusion to do it any other way. And it's also, liabilities and things. Once if they're with us, we're responsible for them, and we're going to hold on to them, and no one can take them. And they're my kids, and I'm going to make sure that they get home safely. But if you take them, then they're your kids, and you make sure they get home safely, right? So that's how we would deal with that. That's how I would want to deal with my own kids too. So I think that works out for everyone. Now on the back, we have of that sheet, page 2 of that packet. We have the payment schedule. And so we had some great fundraisers in the fall, like we talked about. That was able to pay for our concert festival trip for everybody in full, and really brought this cost way down as well. And we're also able to, as you can see, there's quite a bit of a discount if you do already have some sort of a park ticket, a way to get in there, because we know some folks do. So full cost though for a student, everything included, all those meals, the t-shirt, the transportation, which is actually usually one of the biggest costs, and everything else that goes with it is $100, and that's total for the whole thing. If they already have a park ticket, that's a discount of almost half, right? So it's now $60. Chaperones get a little discount off the top because they're helping us out, which we love. So that's $75 for them, and they'll get all the same things, and then another $40 off if they have a season pass or some other park ticket. I wrote season pass, but if you had some other way of getting a ticket and you wanted to do that, you could do that way. Now, next week from today, February 1st, is a $10 non-refundable deposit. So we want to make sure it's just to say, yes, I'm planning to go, and I'm all good on that. $20 by a month after, and then the full balance, whatever's left, is due on Tuesday, April 5th. So originally sent one out that had a typo in it that said March 7th. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense because that's before the second payment. So it is April 5th. You got a recent one that's been corrected. We talked about correcting that in class. I just want to make that clear that April 5th is actually the deadline. Now, if you're able to pay that right away and up front right now, that's great. We do accept that. You don't need to follow this plan. This is sort of a minimum level of participation for each one of those brackets, if that works better for you. But I know that there are some folks in here that just have $100 in their pocket, and they can just give it to us right now, and they'll be done with it, and it's off their mind. That's great. I know there's some other folks that maybe are struggling and might not be able to do that. Do not count yourself out. Do not say, I can't pay, so I'm not going. Please talk to us if you have financial difficulties. If something comes up in the middle of the year, right, like you have an emergency, please let us know, because if I don't know, I don't know. And if you just say, I'm not going to sign anything, I'm not going to talk to Mr. Foster because we're not going to pay this, then I just think, the kid didn't turn in the form. Maybe they're being lazy. Maybe they lost it in the bottom of their backpack or something. It's not the first time that would have happened, right? So let me know that that's what's going on, and we might be able to find some sort of a solution for you. We want every single kid that is able to go. We don't want anyone to be left behind, because we're not going to sound as good if they don't. But if you have a real conflict, well, that's fine. Obviously that happens if your cousin's getting married on the 7th. Okay, fine. But but if it's just money, right? Please tell us so that we can try to help you out. We want everyone that is able to go to be able to go. All right. So on the back of that, it's now page 3. Terms and conditions of student participation and chaperone participation. So I'm not going to just read this to you, but we made this really clear to the kids. Again, we're traveling now, we're going places. This absolutely applies to every one of the events we're going to talk about this year, especially the ones where we're going to be in a room with other bands. They're going to be looking for us in particular, because of Dobbins Bennett. They know people even out of state, and they know about that. And they're going to be looking at us anyway, because you're going to have choirs going, strings are going, you're going to see 300 students and all their chaperones walk into Dollywood at one time, right? You're going to notice that. And it's going to have a positive influence or a negative influence. There's not going to be just all these kids wearing the exact same shirt walked around and I just didn't notice. That's not going to happen. So we need to make sure that we're at our best behavior all the time when we're in public. Junior clinic, same thing. Other bands are there. Concert festival, other bands are there. Other folks, just adults, are going to be there. So we need to make sure that we're watching out for them. And that's the thing that I care about more than anything. We're going to play well. We're going to do a great job playing. That's really important to us. That's something we're working on every day. But I would much rather us be commented on for our behavior and being exemplary character and students that showcase how great this school is and this community is than any of that. We can play poorly and still be really responsible kids. That's what we need to be. So we're going to be pressing on that with kids, and that's why chaperones, you're really important too, because you're going to be my eyes and ears when I can't be around to help monitor that. But there's still going to be situations where kids are going to be not necessarily in direct line of sight. You need to press on them that they need to be on their utmost behavior, so that we don't get somebody think those kids from Robinson, you don't want to mess with them, or those kids from Kingsport, they play really well, but they're just jerks about it. They must be mean girls or whatever, that kind of thing. They're the pretty popular kids or whatever. I don't want anyone saying that, because some of the other groups around here in East Tennessee might think that because of how well we play. So we want to make sure that happens. Make sure that we fill out this form, especially with the student's t-shirt size, right? And chaperone's t-shirt size, so we can get that done. The very back page, the last page, is it's just a waiver of risk stuff that we got to fill out for that. Honestly, if the kid falls off the roller coaster at Dollywood, please sue Dollywood. It's not our fault, right? I don't know why you would even think that. But that's obviously what we have to do for all these trips and things that we go on. So if you could fill that out. This last page, you can just rip off and you can return just this part and keep your itinerary and payment schedule for your reference. All right. So you may be thinking about, the cost again. And so for that, we have a little fundraiser that we're going to be running, and some of you picked up that form already. And so the booster board is going to present that for us and let you know how that's going to work.
Okay, I have to say I'm really excited about this one. This is the War Hoop Challenge. Can you hear me okay? All right. This is the War Hoop Challenge, and this is different from anything we've done before. This is completely student family driven. This is completely optional. It's not your typical, it's all right. It's not your typical product sales fundraiser. You handle it the way you want to handle it. You do not need to turn in this War Hoop Challenge form back into anybody. This is yours. This is your tool that we had a lot of fun actually making for you. So what we did was just took the War Hoop, which I'm sure you all know, and assigned $1 to each beat in the War Hoop music. So the challenge is to try to earn or collect sponsorship money for each beat of the War Hoop. So until you get up to the amount of money you need for your trip. So if you don't have a Dollywood season pass and you're a performer, a student, then your goal would be $100, which is at the top of the little thermometer here. If you do have a season pass, according to the back of the page, your cost is $60. So you would only need to work to earn $60. And you can use it however you want. Color in each measure, color in each section of the thermometer if you want to. It's completely up to you. You can ask for sponsorships if you like. What I really like, and I don't know that my student will like this, but I like the idea of our students earning their way to the trip. Even if I can give the $100 bill in my pocket tonight, I kind of like the idea of my kid having an interest in this trip. So think of odd jobs you could do, or get creative. Rake leaves, create something, make something to sell. We have a very dear band family with 4 kids who get very creative with their fundraising. They're in the Dobbins Bennett band now, but they have become very entrepreneurial in their efforts and have created little businesses along the way to pay for all of their band trips over the years. You can give a private concert, and charge $1 a ticket in your living room, or you take it and do whatever you want. This tool is just for you, and we hope you'll have fun with it. We had fun making it. Did I cover everything I should have? Okay. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you. We're gonna, that's finishes the part that should apply to every single band student here in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. If we have any questions about the trip or anything like that, you can always email me. My email is on that form. It's everywhere. You can wait till afterward and come up and talk to me. So right here, if you want to do that. We want to make sure that everyone's questions are answered. Send them in, send questions in with the kids, and I'll answer them in class. Whatever needs to happen, I want to make sure that you're fully informed about everything. And I know we got some folks that might be listening online, and they can also either email or comment on the video if they have something of a concern for them. At this point, I let the 6th graders, any 6th grade parents, you guys can be dismissed. We're going to be talking to folks that are just in 7th and 8th grade concert band members. Thank you, 6th grade parents. Thank you, 6th graders. Have a great night.
Mr. Foster announced
Yes.
that I'll be out here collecting money.
Yes, and the boosters will be outside as you leave, collecting money and other such things. Oh, and the apparel is up here on the stage. I should have mentioned that before you started walking out. But if you did have apparel orders from Action Athletics, we got them up on the stage, and so the boosters will be over here on the wings helping you with that. All right, so 7th and 8th grade concert band folks, we're going to shoot back up through time, and now we're looking at Thursday, February 24th, which is our pre-festival concert. And that's going to be right here at Robinson Middle again. We have such a great performance venue, and people want to come in here and play, and so we get to do that, and that's awesome. One of the groups that really wants to come in here and play is the Dobbins Bennett Wind Symphony, so they're going to be joining us on that performance. They don't get some other opportunity to play in the spring, so they want to do that. And they're going to be playing at the All-State Conference, actually, later this year. So they're kind of preparing some stuff for that, but they want a spring venue. So they're actually going to join us on that concert. Would have just been our concert band playing 2 tunes and a sight reading preparation, but it's actually going to be have the Dobbins Bennett Wind Symphony come in is really a great treat. So you get to see them too on that Thursday, February 24th. And so that's going to be here. It's going to work a lot like our winter concert, except we're also going to include one of the best high school bands in the country in here as well. So we're really excited about that. That pre-festival concert, as the name would imply, is in preparation for a concert festival, which is another word that we typically use for our concert assessment. That word is to indicate that this is sort of like our band TCAP. This is where we go as an organization. ETSBOA hosts this. That's the East Tennessee School Band and Orchestra Association, Just like the Tennessee Department of Education would have the TCAP, they have certain standards that they want to apply to all of the schools in the state. This is our regional organization, which is also run in part by the Tennessee Bandmasters Association. It's a lot of educational acronyms. But they have their standards and they have their rubric that they want to judge the band for. And so we unfortunately have not gone to Concert Festival, either here or John Sevier. The two Kingsport middle schools just haven't gone for a long time. And so unlike a TCAP, you can choose not to take it. But I think that it's sort of something that every band really ought to do. And it's a really great way to prepare kids for the kind of things they're going to be doing in high school. And it's a way to get feedback and a rating, a grade on how well we're doing as a performance. So we're actually going to perform a concert for a judge. So like Junior Clinic was, so like Solo Ensemble was, those were individuals, small ensembles. This is what we do. We play concerts, and then a judge is going to have the score. They're going to have exactly what we should be playing right in front of them, and they're going to give us a grade on how well we did that. And it's a wonderful way for us, again, to get the necessary feedback. We need to become better. And they're going to make comments. They're going to be helpful and encouraging, but they're also going to give us, let us know, did you guys get an A or a B or a C? Did you need to work a lot harder or a little harder to make sure that happens? And that's really good for our kids to get that kind of feedback. That concert festival performance is on Wednesday, March 2nd at the Clayton Performing Arts Center in Maryville, Tennessee. And so that's a day trip as well, but that's going to be all within a school day. We're going to fit that all within a school day if we can. Times aren't out yet. We haven't been able to select that. I actually just technically registered for that today. It's another thing that's where the money's due this Friday. So we're going to get times for that as soon as we can, and we're going to try to work that out. But that's all paid for. That's another bus trip that we're taking, and the Boosters is fronting that bus trip for us. We're going to have, since it's going to be over the school day, we're going to coordinate with the cafeteria so that they can provide lunches for kids if they need them. So we'll be gone, like I said, during that school day and get our concert assessment with those judges at Clayton. Now, that is also a public performance, so you're more than welcome to come. You're going to hear the same performance, though, hopefully a little bit better, at the second performance, though, at the pre-festival concert. So if you want to travel out there and see us actually do the thing, awesome. If you don't, and you just want to have heard the tunes at pre-festival, that's great, too. I'll definitely go to that one because you're going to see the Dobbins Bennett Band for sure. But we do need a few chaperones for that. We don't need a 4-to-1 ratio like we did on the other one. So if you want to contact the booster board if you're available that day and you want to come and do that, we only need a few folks just to hang out with the kids on the bus and then hang out with the kids in the audience while they might be waiting for somebody. Because we have 90 or so kids going to go on that trip. So it's a lot for me to just hang on to everybody and be everywhere at once. So if we have a couple parents just helping out, keeping eyes on them, that's a great thing. But they won't be riding any roller coasters or anything like that. It'll be a lot easier, more relaxed of a trip in that way. All right, so that's concert festival. That's pre-festival concert. We have, like I said, if you want to ask me questions afterward, you can always give me emails and that sort of thing, or contact the booster board through Facebook or other means. But at this point, we're going to let anyone who didn't make Junior Clinic go. So we have the last thing is our Junior Clinic folks. If you're not sure if you actually made Junior Clinic, I have that list up here. So if anyone 7th and 8th graders that didn't make Junior Clinic, you guys can pick up your apparel orders, pay outside, or head home. We'll see you guys later. Thank you. All right, and the proud, the Junior Clinic participants. Yeah, a ton of kids make Junior Clinic, just so many, which is just really, really fantastic. I included, my 68 number includes a few folks that are just alternates right now, and that might be a question to answer first. Is an alternate, I consider on this one, They're not marked officially, but there's someone that made a first or second chair just below the cutoff. If for some reason somebody that did make the clinic can't go, those kids could get called up. Now, I have had that happen as late as the first rehearsal. Somebody just doesn't show up on the day of, and they go, well, you're not here, so I guess you're out. And then they'll give a phone call to whoever band director has that student, and then I would call, that was my kid I'm talking about, and then I would call the parent and say, do you want to take him out of school and do this now? And they could say yes or no, but just to know that you're on the list is important in case that does come up. And I actually, the one time that happened to me, the answer was no. They were like, no, we'll just stay at school. So they went down to the second alternate for that. So that can happen. Now that was a little harder when I was out west, and we actually did it at the Cannon Center for the Performing Arts downtown, because you had to get your kid out of school and take him downtown. We're hosting this clinic, and that's because we have this great performance venue. So if that does happen and your kids get called for an alternate, really I'll just be calling to say, do you want to take them out of class and put them in band all day instead? And so that'll be a lot easier for us if that does happen, which is one of the benefits, I guess, of hosting. This, again, like we said, we are hosting Junior Clinic, and that's going to be February 11th through 12th. That's our original date. In case someone gets snowed out, we do have the following weekend as a snow date if that does happen. So we were planning to have that starting on Friday, and I don't have all the details yet. This is my first year doing Upper East. I'm actually, like I spent a long time in West. I've been part of Middle East, which is the Knoxville area, and a part of Lower East, which is the Chattanooga area, and it's my first year up here at Upper East, so I don't have exactly what times everything's going to be, but I will give those out as soon as we do. It probably is going to start, kids will come in around 8, I would expect, and to rehearse, and they'll be there all day. They're not going to be at school. They'll be an excused absence. They'll be on a field trip, even though they're at Robinson for our kids, since we're hosting. They won't be at school, which they're all really looking forward to, because they love math class so much, and we all do. So they're going to be on stage, one group, and the 7th or 8th grade group, and the other group will be in the band room. And they'll probably switch so they have time on the stage to prepare and hear what it sounds like in here. And they'll have a guest conductor, and this is going to be somebody who is really a respected professional in our field, somebody who's been a band director for a really long time and knows kids really well and knows literature really well, someone they're going to learn a lot from, someone they're going to hear stuff they hear from me in a different way, but then also stuff they're going to hear that maybe I don't say, and I'm going to learn a lot from them too. And all the other band directors from all the other groups that are sending folks, everybody in Upper East Tennessee that's sending students, they're all going to do that too. That's why we call it a clinic. It's a learning experience for the kids. Hear things that they never hear, to play with kids they never play with usually, that are really good, the best kids from their respective schools. And also a clinic for us as professional development to sort of to see, oh, that really worked really well with this band, and this music works really well, and we can all become better this way by watching these folks. We will, the rehearsal all day Friday, like I said, and then on Saturday, there's probably a morning rehearsal from what I'm expecting, and the performance will be that evening on Saturday, February 12th, here at Robinson, obviously, where we're hosting. And so you're welcome to come to that and support the kids. It's really great to see all of them, all the different kids from different schools wearing all their different uniforms and things. That's what they're going to do at the performance. And so you get to spot out, like, oh, that kid's from this town and that town, and you can see the different students from all the different places, the best kids from all over this area on each one of their different instruments playing. So we'll be wearing our standard concert uniform with the jackets and the black pants and all that, and they might wear something else out in Johnson City or whatever, and they'll play some, and it'll all be a hodgepodge. It'll be really great with our big mass band. So really fun thing. If for some reason you can't participate in that, I really need you to send an email to me to give me written confirmation that you're not gonna do that. I always ask for stuff like that from parents. I don't like it when kids just come up to me in class and say they are or not gonna be somewhere. Because first of all, like, you want me to write that down now? Okay, fine. But also, you're a kid. You don't know your schedule. Like, I want to hear it from mom and dad, please. So just send us an email if you can't do it, and we can go ahead and tell some alternate somewhere that they can. It's not required that you attend the clinic, although we really would love to have that. All of our kids really represented up here in that hodgepodge of different uniforms, like we said. And then I did hear some kids say today, for instance, that they know that robotics state competition is that weekend, and so I've been expecting quite a few folks to be going to that, and then they said, well, they think that might get canceled because of staffing problems, kind of like how we canceled school here Thursday and Friday for the same reason. So they don't want to make a decision yet. Well, I understand that, and you can do that. You can wait, like I said, all the way up till, I guess, the time of, but try to make a decision sooner rather than later if you know for sure if something's going on, so that we can give some other kids somewhere enough time to prepare, maybe, so it's not a call on the day of, because we're hosting, but they're not, so they're actually gonna have to pull a kid and drive up here, and they might be coming from Mountain City or somewhere. So you want to make sure that they get the time to prepare themselves. All right, so I'm sure there's plenty of questions. Some people have been waiting for that. I'm going to stand up here for as long as it takes till everyone's questions get answered. We can always email me or send some stuff through Facebook or whatever. I hope I've given you all the answers, though, as much as I can, and we're really enjoying being here and working with these kids. Really looking forward to a full spring season. There's nothing really that we're not doing. We're going to all the different events that ETSBOA has, and even some extra stuff like Dollywood. So we're really excited about that. Thank you.